Right, I think we're ready to start. David, are you able to see my screen? Everyone also in the chat, are you able to see the presentation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining, everyone. This presentation is introducing Looker. Looker is a company that Google acquired, finalized acquisition in a year ago, and it's about Google Cloud business intelligence. So the agenda is we're gonna focus on how Google and Looker fit together, where Looker fits in Google's data story, and what are the driving factors for such acquisition and why it's important. And then we're going to look from a Looker's perspective how they tackle the future of business intelligence. Quick start. Thank you again for joining. We are from Cloudipedia. We started in 2009, focusing on Google's digital transformation, focusing on modernizing infrastructure and transforming how teams work together. We focus in mainly use SMBs and in different industries, including healthcare, financial services, manufacturing, and tech sector. So with that, jumping into what Google is doing in the data. So Google have an end-to-end platform starting from ingestion. There are tools to help you get the data into Google, what we call data platform. And there are multiple tools there, including data flow and data fusion and cloud functions. And then once you get the data and you transform them, you need to store them. And we can store data either as raw data in a cloud storage or actually move them into something like BigQuery for data lake purposes. And then once we organize the data and we want to have them in what we call data warehouse and analytics, that's where our Google also have a BigQuery, very, very powerful tool for that. And also, if you want to use big data platform like Hadoop and so on, there is Dataproc, which is a managed Hadoop. And then, okay, I have all this data now in my infrastructure. How can I benefit from them? How can I make actionable insights? That's when you start seeing niche products such as the business intelligence, and that will be Looker. So that's our focus. But there are also other benefits, other tools you can use to start benefiting from your wealth of data, including something like AI platform and data fusion, and even third-party tools that you can easily and seamlessly integrate with Google. So this workshop today is focusing on here. Okay, so we are taking this approach of, okay, let's focus on the business value, and then let's have, starting with why are we doing this, and then we take it step by step down. So there will be a series of workshops covering, again, another couple of Looker workshops from a deeper technical side, but we're also going to cover over the next 6 months workshops from a business and technical perspectives across all this data platform. So yeah, we're starting today with the business intelligence perspective of Google Cloud, and with that, we are starting with Looker. I want to invite David below. He is a territory manager for Looker at Google Cloud.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all. Really glad to be able to be here this afternoon. Let me just share my screen with you. So to introduce myself, I'm a territory manager at Looker. So I'm covering the whole MENA territory. As Yaya said, the idea is to introduce you to Looker, which is now part of Google Cloud, but also to more data platform approach than just a visualization tool like you might find on other providers. To give you a bit of background on Looker, been around for about 8 years now, with the main mission has always been to empower people through the smarter use of data. We've been doing this with now over 2,500 companies across the globe, from startups who want to get really data-driven from the beginning to large enterprise companies who going through a transformation where they see the benefit and the value to have better experiences for their customers, internal stakeholders, and external stakeholders as well. That need of better customer experiences has been the main reason for digital transformation, and we've seen more and more of our customers willing to share insights, expose data directly to their end customers, and that's why we've got 1 out of 2 Looker customers at the moment sharing that data with to their platform, to their product, to their end customers. Obviously, we've got that strong partnership now, like we're part of the Google Cloud team. We've built over the years different partnerships as a multi-cloud approach, as you can see below, but also in terms of ETL tools and others. It's just a quick snapshot of the type of customers we work with in different industries. If we go back to our main mission, which is basically to empower people through a smarter use of data, we've basically built the product from the ground up with that idea that we need to deliver value to everyone within an organization. We're not looking to just provide data to the data analyst. It's really having everybody across a company, across different business units, departments, being able to make decisions, take actions on insights that you uncover. So that sounds familiar to other BI tools. But like the purpose of the presentation is to highlight 3 major trends that we have seen and that we are driving our success on, that anybody who's aware of the BI world will be aware of this. The first one in terms of the market that we see, it's like everybody needs data. We're not just talking about the data team, the data engineering or data science team anymore. It's literally anybody within an organization who would need to have access and request that data to be integrated into their daily business application. The second trend we'll touch base on, like I think we've all experienced it, it's the explosion of like data-driven SaaS applications for every possible use case you can think of. The likes of your Salesforce, the likes of your Marketo, the likes of your Google AdWords, that basically put some stress on the traditional approaches of the BI tools, because that's creating more silos, and that makes the ETL work much more complex. The third pillar that we've seen on the market, changing everything, is like obviously the new modern data stores and infrastructure that can address all these emerging problems that we're talking about with the proliferations of the SaaS applications and the fact that everybody needs to access the data. So to touch base on the first one, right now within any organization, everybody would be requesting to have access to data. It's not just the usual data analysts, data science or data engineering teams who will in the past be the ones holding and owning the data. It's really getting that approach or that philosophy of that data-driven strategy that companies are putting in place. And here you can have much more different type of business stakeholders that you work with. But like as the ones we see quite often are obviously marketing, product, finance, sales, customer success, strategy, and so on. What we've seen with the companies who are basically opening up the data to other business stakeholders, and that's a Forrester research, it's really have an impact on the potential revenue growth, because obviously there's a gain of time by having, for example, your sales team having access to data, your marketing team, without having to wait for the data team to provide them with the reports and dashboards or the actions they're looking for. But also in terms of competitive edge, because that's having that live analytics across the whole organization, you bring a 360 view to everybody involved, and that's also like allowing to uncover trends for the product. Another survey, pretty impressive to see that there's still about 70% of companies who still don't consider themselves as data-driven. So there's obviously a lot of work that can be done to help these companies to take the next step in their digital transformation and data transformation. And we see these companies who basically do the first step with like their data centralization in the likes of BigQuery, but also opening up again to that workforce who's dying to get access to data. The next one is actually not shocking because we all know Excel has been there for a long time and will be there for a long time, but we still find out for Forrester research that about 60% of companies still use Excel for BI or for any analysis. Again, that's where that transformation in data and digital transformation will evolve and bring towards more data-driven, where business users with no technical knowledge or no proficiency in Excel are still able to analyze the data they need and take decisions on this, on actions specifically. Then the second trend, so I touched base on this earlier, the proliferations of the SaaS applications. We obviously have been from all the on-premise solutions that business were using to now business applications are designed to do one job very well. If you look at Google Ads, Salesforce, Zendesk, for example, but they only consume one type of data. You are basically just useful to one use case. The example is you wouldn't use your Zendesk to do your Google Ads, or you wouldn't do your Salesforce to do your Google Ads. Having that different silos between the different SaaS applications makes it difficult to get that 360 view that companies are looking for, and basically get also that mix of data from the business to be able to take actions directly from it. Again, to touch base on like the issue with these different SaaS applications, what you end up having, and what we end up seeing companies who have all these different SaaS apps, is that you're working through silos. So you would never be able to get properly that full picture that you're looking for between product and marketing data, for example. That's going to generate a lot of stress and weight on your data team because they would have to themselves in the back end do a lot of data transformation. That's going to take hours, days, or weeks sometimes, compared to now it's much easier to manage it when you move that to one centralized database, the likes of BigQuery. In terms of the third trend, so the data infrastructure evolution that we, again, going from all the on-premise slow databases that's been there for decades, the brand new generation, let's say, of databases are basically much bigger, cheaper, and faster. They're much more built to like the BigQuery, much more built around the analytics side of things. The data engineering trends have make things much easier as well in terms of the ETL. There's so many tools or options right now in the market to easily move your data from your different data sources into one single location without having to spend too much dev resources. And also, like what we see and what we believe in Looker is like SQL is and would remain the standards in terms of data engineering and analytics. To touch base on the cloud databases, it's really what we see and what basically Gartner is seeing, which is a pretty big number by 2023. And we all understand why we're moving towards this, and companies that are seeing the value of this in terms of obviously the low cost, the power and the performances that you can get out of this, but also the scalability. For any companies which is going through a really quick growth, they would need to think ahead on what kind of database could work with them in terms of right now, but also in the future. But also that's the approach that Looker takes in terms of, it's not just nice, like what kind of long-term tool can provide you and help you to achieve what you're looking for. So in terms of the way we see the future of BI, there's a few different principles, we obviously mentioned the first pillar was the fact that everybody within your companies now are looking to get access to data. And what's important to keep in mind as well is that giving them that access to that data and allowing them to ask and answer their own questions without having to come to the data team constantly is also going to free up time from the data team or the engineering team to focus on more strategic activities. Obviously, the rise of the SaaS applications, because a lot of the platforms, BI platforms built before that were not really thinking about the way that there's going to be SaaS applications everywhere, and like you need to have the way of evolving and creating these new experiences and get that full picture to business users. And obviously, the data warehouse piece, where the likes of BigQuery in terms of analytics, performances, speed, cost management, is much easier to manage now for everybody. To give you an overview of the Looker architecture and the way we positioned on the market compared to other platforms, it's really, you would have your data sources there at the bottom and ETL that data into a SQL database, the likes of BigQuery. The difference that we apply, it's that Looker will sit on the top of that database. That means that we're querying directly the database. So if you're looking to provide live data analytics to internal or external stakeholders, that something can be easily done. But also, we don't force any aggregation at a database level. There's no more extracting, working off workbooks, cubes, extract, whichever language you want to use, and importing into the tool. That means, in terms of data governance, Looker will provide through our semantic layer a single source of truth. So you have one place here where you define once your KPIs, your metrics, but also the relationship between the different tables that you want to analyze. So we don't force it, you can work off the raw data in there. In terms of scalability, think of, for whoever is using an in-memory platform at the moment. If you were to have to, one of your KPI definition was to change over time, which is happening constantly for companies. And if you use that specific KPI in 200 reports, right now with these in-memory tools, you will need to go back manually to update each extract that you've done for that new KPI definition. In Looker, because we work off that data governance layer, in one location, we basically automatically update any reports, dashboards that you've used when you used the KPI before. So something important as well, it's Git version control. So when you work through a big team of developers and you want to collaborate, they can work on their own branch without having to commit anything to production and impact potentially the business stakeholders, either internal or external. Then you can obviously display the data through the web interface. A non-technical user who doesn't know SQL will be able to go down all the way to the raw level of the data because we query directly. So by the point and click there as a business user, I will be running in the backend really complex queries that Looker generates against the database, and we bring back the results automatically. Another approach that we see more and more as a trend, it's really transparency with your end customers. That means they're hungry to get access to data, to analytics. So we see more and more of our customers basically would embed Looker or would embed analytics coming from Looker into their own platform and who provide that type of premium analytics to their end customers. We see good results in terms of the stickiness of the usage of the platform of the customers, because their end users keep coming back to it to obviously have access to fresh data. And obviously what's really key when I mentioned data experiences earlier, it's being able to take actions from the insights you would uncover in Looker. Give you a use case. Let's say your marketing team is running an AdWords campaign, and they want to track the return on investment of that campaign. In Looker, because of the real-time alerting, the API available in the backend, they can define a specific threshold, and if that campaign was to go below in terms of ROI, Looker could automatically send an API call to Google AdWords and ask them to pause that campaign. So marketing teams stop spending money on campaigns when it's working. Also through automated emails, obviously SSO, there's different loads of actions you can think of, not just from the platform, but then third-party integrations. Machine learning, AI, we've got lots of customers using that. In terms of the future, it's really back to getting that full 360 view to everybody within the organization. Obviously, you define yourself who has access to what data based on the departments and their roles, but it's getting that data governance layer so you know for 100% that everybody work off the same versions, the same definitions that you want to apply across the business. In terms of it's really that flexibility that we see working with the likes of BigQuery, where the integration is done really quickly, but also the fact of being able to leverage any new functionalities from these databases within Looker. And the third part is really in terms of again, taking back the actionable insights. What's the point of having an investment in a really strong database if you only get alerted the next day or the next week in your weekly or daily report in your inbox? It's really getting there automatically when getting the alerts when it's happening. Can use the like of an example would be Slack, customer success use case. If there's an issue with a customer, instead of having the customer success team to come back to Looker, they can still stay on their own business application and get an alert straight away through Slack, for example. There's lots of different use cases that can be addressed, and it's really the final words really in terms of what kind of data experiences you want to provide to your internal and external stakeholders, and in terms of the scalability, you want to make sure that you've got the right performances behind.
Thank you so much, David. By the way, the chat capability is active. If anyone have any questions, please ask now. Meanwhile, I want to discuss how we can get started. So let me share my screen again. All right. So to get started, basically, Looker relies on BigQuery in this case for Google Cloud, and we have multiple sources, right? So if we go back to this beautiful slide here, we have multiple sources of data. These multiple sources of data, we want to have them in a single source of truth or a single warehouse, or could be a data lake at the beginning and then becomes a warehouse after refining and cleaning, and then get started with getting value with multiple users, getting to ask the questions and get the answers automatically. So the project starts at the BigQuery level, and BigQuery allows you to really ingest any kind of data that you have, be it SaaS data coming from something like NetSuite or SAP or even Oracle, or something coming from a transactional database, including also Oracle. We have financial institutions in this area here, banks using this connector to offload the Oracle transaction database into a scalable database that then can be accessed, so every user in the organization can benefit from the data with respect to what kind of access or what kind of information they are allowed to see. And also allows SaaS applications, so Salesforce and the others, Zendesk and the others, also easily can be connected directly to BigQuery, and then from BigQuery, Looker will be able to visualize this in a very nice way. So we just covered, very quickly and on the half-hour mark on the business intelligence level. This is today, again, just to get us started. Next call in 2 weeks will be a full demo with a little bit more of, we will look at the SQL queries, we'll look at, the connectors, how it comes together. And then the last one, 2 weeks after, will be, okay, how we get started technically, how we can connect actually to BigQuery, how can we connect Looker to BigQuery. And it's going to be probably hands-on workshop as well. So we're taking it like slowly, step by step. But again, there will be other parallel sessions announced very soon to cover mainly BigQuery, because that is the cornerstone here. But also there will be another one for AI platform, because also if we have data in BigQuery already, yes, we can visualize them. Yes, we can get people to ask questions and get answers directly without the silo of going to the data analyst to do the SQL queries for them. They can just simply ask in a natural language and get the answers. But also, how can we start predicting and getting, things, for example, in the future, asking questions in the future? That would be the AI platform that we will discuss also at a later stage. So that also, if you have any questions, please drop a line to Dina or myself or David. We'll be happy to set you up with a trial or help you to get started really quickly, or if you have a question in mind. Also,
I think on the chat.
Yes, there's also in the chat also. Thank you so much. So I'm looking there. So what's the pricing model for Looker? David, do you want to take this one? Mm-hmm.
Sure. So the pricing model is based on, you've got basically a platform fee that's basically giving you access to Looker, a platform, and then it's based per user. So we're a SaaS application. So 100% web-based. We take care, obviously, the maintenance, the upgrades, the management of the servers from our side, and then just as simple as a plug and play with your username and logins, and just have access to the platform. And then there's different type of users depending on the level of access you want to give them.
Very good. Thank you so much. Again, Anton, if you have additional questions on the pricing model and how it looks, how it works, or even for the pricing and how the pricing works, if it can really bring value or not, we're happy to set up with a trial and walk you through the steps, and that comes at definitely no cost, just to get you started. All right, so we are exactly at the half an hour mark. So thank you so much, everyone, for your time. You will receive a recording of this video if you want to share it internally, and there will be another workshop in 2 weeks. We will reach out. That workshop in 2 weeks is mainly for people who attended this one, so it's step by step, right? We got the idea, but okay, next step, all right, how we can see it actually live, and how we can also. There'll be also a customer, someone is using a Looker for almost 2 years now. They'll be there if you have questions about their experience and so on. And then the last one will be probably for the hands-on technical folks. It's like, okay, let's set this up. So there'll be like class for the selected people again to get access to this and try it out and understand what's going on. With that, thank you so much, David, for your time. Really appreciate it. And I wish everyone a very good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.